Part 26. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 253. Chapter 253 The Water is Dry. 1680 plus. 251. Now that he is back in Kijia village, he can no longer bear it. Ah! That's the little spiral turtle? Hungry, drink water. As soon as she got home, she was tired and hungry. Grandma Chi-san took her to the cellar for a walk. She was tired and hungry, and she didn't think about it. He Tian looked at the water surface, hoping to call the little spiral turtle up, but a shocking scene appeared. The water in the pool was decreasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, the water level dropped by half a meter, 1 meter, 1.5 meters. Chi Ergu walked along the steps at night with water in his hand, and did not see the changes in the pool. But Yang Xiaoxiu was facing the pond. Seeing the water in the pond decreasing rapidly, she widened her eyes, pointed at the water surface and stammered, "Water, water, fast, the water is almost dry." Seeing his newlywed wife so shocked, Chi Ergu put down the bucket, turned his head and looked at the water surface, and was also stunned, saying, How could this happen? I used to hear from the older generation that their ancestors came here and settled down here because of this clear spring, which was sweet and clear. It has not rained since the new year. Although everyone is anxious, the water in the pond is still there, so everyone will not panic. But now the water is dry. Chi Ergu was so scared that his face turned pale, and he hurriedly said, "Xiaoxiu, you hurry up and carry the water back home. I have to tell the village chief at this time. Village chief Chi should be in the village branch." He couldn't wait, so he asked Yang Xiaoxiu to carry water. After Chi Ergu ran away, Yang Xiaoxiu picked up some water and said, Tian, let's go back." He Tian swallowed her saliva and made an excuse, saying, "Sister Xiu, you go back first, I'll leave in a while." "Then I'll leave first." Yang Xiaoxiu saw her husband so panicked just now, and she also wanted to go back and tell her mother-in-law the news as soon as possible. After Yang Xiaoxiu left, He Tian saw that there was no one by the pond, so she hurriedly shouted to the water, "Little spiral turtle, come up quickly, you have finished drinking the water, and you have scared the villagers. Many people will come here soon. If you don't come out, you won't have a chance to come up." "No, I won't go up, I haven't eaten yet," the little spiral turtle said in a muffled voice while drinking water, and stayed down there and didn't come out. He Tian was anxious. This little thing didn't come out all the time, so what did the people in the village drink? It's urine? Just thinking about it makes me feel sick. Little spiral turtle, you won't come out, right? Then I'll take the Snake King to the paradise in the back mountain, and I won't take you. He Tian tempted the little spiral turtle, hoping to get it to leave the pool as soon as possible. After all, this is everyone's drinking water place. Without water, it's all over. "I won't come out, I'm not full." The little spiral turtle refused to come out, so he lay at the mouth of the spring, and all the water that came out went into his mouth. With such a small body, he drank a pool of water. Where did it go? "Come out quickly, if you don't come out, I'll let the Snake King seal you." When the temptation failed, He Tian began to threaten. When the black little spiral turtle heard this, he put his little head into the mud and said, "I won't go out." Now all the water in the pool has been drunk by the little spiral turtle, and he drinks a little of the water from the spring. He Tian pinched his waist with both hands to make a teapot shape, glaring. "This little thing is more annoying than the Snake King." "Snake King, what do you think we should do?" He Tian had no idea what to do, so she asked the Snake King. The Snake King had been very angry with the stone egg these days, and now that he saw He Tian was angry, he felt relieved. "Don't worry about it." The Snake King didn't want to be in the same room with the small spiral turtle. He Tian heard this and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. One or two, at the critical moment, they all dragged their feet. Snake King, please think of a solution quickly, he Tian begged, it drank up all the water. What should the villagers do if they have no water to drink? Don't worry, it will pee out twice as much water in a while, the Snake King said lazily and leisurely. The liquid that comes out of urine is urine. How can you drink it? He Tian said angrily, hurry up, get it out, hurry up. The little turtle poked its head out from inside and said innocently, actually, my urine is not dirty. Shut up, it's not dirty, but it's still urine, he Tian said angrily, we agreed to be friends, you don't keep your word. I said I would take you to a good place, there is spring water there, you can drink as much as you want, but not here. The little turtle was scared when he saw he Tian was so crazy, thinking whether to go up or not. Seeing the little turtle thinking, he Tian said again, if you don't come up, someone will come and they will fish you out. You may have the ability to hurt them, but when you hurt humans, the heaven will also remember your sins and punish you. Yes, the little turtle nodded, touched his stomach with his little paw, and it was half full, and there was too little water in it, not enough for him to drink. Why don't you come up, he Tian said hopefully, as if coaxing a child. The little tortoise spread its 4 little paws and crawled to the side. He Tian hurried down the steps and held out her hand to greet the little tortoise. When the little spinner turtle came to her hand, she caught it with one hand, pinched its little arms and legs, put its head down, flicked the turtle shell a few times with the other hand, and said proudly, little boy, I caught you, let's see if you don't obedient. We are friends, you can't hit me, the little turtle said cutely, you don't mean what you say, you bad guy. Well, they are friends. Then you will be obedient from now on, he Tian said. Sometimes the little turtle is like a mentally retarded child, a little naughty, but overall it is still good. At least he doesn't want to take revenge on humans like he did in the beginning. Yeah, the little spin turtle kept shaking its little head, as if it was nodding. It looks so cute and silly. But when it makes someone angry, I want to strangle it to death. Just when he Tian was still about to say a few words, she heard many footsteps approaching from far behind. He Tian quickly threw the little turtle into the barrier space, but the Snake King refused to let in and threw the little turtle on the ground. Someone was coming soon, and he Tian didn't have time to argue with the Snake King, so she quickly picked up the little spinner turtle and put it in her pocket. At this time, the people from behind came over. Everyone looked at the dry puddles and were speechless. Is there really going to be a severe drought this year? When they think of no harvest and no water to drink, everyone feels sad. How could this be? After just a few years of peace, disaster struck again. There are some people who are not strong enough to choke and cry. Without water, they have no choice but to leave their homes and seek refuge with relatives. Without relatives, they have no choice but to go out and beg for food. There are many people affected by the disaster, and it is difficult to beg for food. I recommend my old books A Married Woman and The Wine Lady. Friends who are not interested in reading can check it out. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 254. 252. Just when everyone was at a loss, he Tian discovered that since the little spiral turtle came up, the spring water inside had increased and not decreased. After a while, there was about 10 centimeters of water under the pool. He Tian took advantage of the Snake King's inattention and threw the little spiral turtle into the barrier. Village Chief Chi, look, there is more water, he Tian reminded. Only he Tian understood that as long as there was no little spiral turtle inside, the water would only increase and not decrease. Village Chief Chi was stunned, looked up and was also surprised. He said, yes, the stones below were exposed just now. Now there is a palm-deep water. Don't worry, wait a little longer, wait a little longer. Everyone listened to village chief Chi's words and was silent. Dozens and hundreds of pairs of eyes stared at the gurgling spring. Seeing that the water in the pool was increasing, everyone was slightly relieved. As long as it was not dry, it would be fine. Everyone was watching here. He Tian carried the water and left. At least there was no need to worry about Kijia village having no water to drink. On the way, He Tian said "Gilu gilu me," and saw the Snake King entangled with the small spiral turtle in the barrier. The small spiral turtle was not an easy to fight lamp, jumping around, hopping around, and hitting the barrier, which made the Snake King suffer a lot. "What are you doing?" He Tian was surprised. "Why did they fight again?" The Snake King felt aggrieved, and all his magic power could not be used on this small spiral turtle, saying, "It has to pee." He Tian couldn't help laughing after hearing this, and said, "Little spiral turtle, bear it, I will take you to a good place at night, you can eat and drink as much as you want, and release as much as you want." "Okay then," the little spiral turtle stopped jumping, like a good child, and said cutely. The Snake King stared at him with his small green eyes and said angrily, "Didn't you just say you couldn't hold it in? How come you can hold it in when He Tian asks you to?" "Haha, I'm just teasing you," the little turtle chuckled, and before the Snake King got angry, it jumped out of the barrier and crawled on He Tian's wrist. The little turtle understood that although the Snake King was more powerful than He Tian and had a very arrogant attitude, the Snake King listened to He Tian. In this case, of course it had to hug He Tian's thigh instead. You little bastard," the Snake King was furious, and dared to tease him. "Haha," the little turtle ran to the palm of He Tian's hand, "You can't hit me, you can't hit me." He Tian laughed and said, "You little fool, spend more time with the Snake King in the future. You angered it like this, aren't you afraid that it will bully you more in the future?" No, I have Xiao Tian, the little turtle said proudly. It knew this truth since it had spiritual consciousness. It's good to take shelter under the big tree. Only He Tian protects it, and the Snake King can't do anything to it. This stinky boy is insightful. Okay, you can make a fuss, but you can't be willful in the future. You just drank all the water and scared the villagers to tears. He Tian treated the little turtle as an ignorant child and taught him the truth seriously, hoping that it could understand and reason as soon as possible. Having offended the Snake King, the little turtle knew that he couldn't offend He Tian, so he nodded obediently and said, okay, I'll be obedient and won't do it again in the future." That attentive look made the arrogant Snake King very disgusted. Humph! They hate each other. He Tian could only separate the Snake King and the small spiral turtle. At night, she went to the back mountain and put the small spiral turtle there. The pool there is smaller than the one at the entrance of the village, but there is more spring water there, enough for the small spiral turtle to drink. There is another advantage there, that is, there are small fish and shrimps in it, which means that the small spiral turtle has a companion and is no longer lonely. He Tian spared no effort to treat the small spiral turtle well, just hoping that it would be in a good mood and play its role to reduce the damage to Tai County. Just as she was about to enter the door, she saw Grandma Chi-san coming out on tiptoe. "Grandma, where are you going?" He Tian asked. Generally, Grandma Chi-san would not go out at this time. "I heard that the spring pool at the entrance of the village has dried up. Many people went there, but you didn't come back." "I want to go and see," Grandma Chi-san explained. "How is it now? Is it really dry? Is the spring eye dry too?" He Tian smiled and shook her head and said, "When I just got some water, the water inside suddenly disappeared, but the spring eye kept bubbling out water, and soon there was water in the spring pool again." Grandma Chi-san frowned, very puzzled, and murmured, "Strange. What happened? I don't know either. Many people are watching over there." "Let's not go," He Tian said, "wait until there is more water tomorrow, and I will go and fetch more water." "That's right, Be prepared, Grandma Chi-san said, I hope that the Buddha and all the gods will bless us with good weather and a good harvest. Although the crops have sprouted now, there is no water, which is a big problem. Corn and sweet potatoes are okay, but rice is not. Without enough water, you can never grow good rice. I hope so, He Tian said, our village is still good. When we came back from the county, the ground in some villages was cracked. The water level of Daowen River is even lower, and we can almost see the bottom of the river. What a sin, Grandma Chi-san said, when you went to dig the river before, the people in Hujia village dug up a stone statue. It is said that it was poisoned. It must have violated a taboo. By the way, where was the stone statue finally transported to? He Tian was surprised and answered, it was transported to the square park in the county. What a sin! That's a stone turtle statue, Grandma Chi-san sighed. I heard from the older generation that the Daowen River is protected by mythical beasts, and there will never be floods or droughts. This is why we have always had good weather here. I remember when I was a child, every year on February 2nd, the day when the dragon raises its head, everyone in the village would offer 3 sacrifices, fruits and snacks. After liberation, it was said that these were all feudal superstitions and they were not allowed to be used, so these years there was always unrest. The river god must have been angry. He Tian was even more surprised. It turned out that Grandma Chi-san also knew the story. Grandma, have you seen the stone statue of the spinning turtle? He Tian asked in surprise. She understood the sacrifice to the river god, but how did Grandma Chi-san know that the stone statue was the stone statue of the spinning turtle? Grandma Chi-san said slowly, as if she was reminiscing, I heard it from my grandmother. She learned about it from an enlightened monk. I see. He Tian nodded and said, there are still masters in the world. He Tian thought she was the only one who knew these things. It turns out not to be. The current general trend cannot be violated and cannot be reversed by one person. In the previous life, Tai County was punished and suffered frequent disasters. Good news, there will be a big push next week, 4 updates a day, lasting for a week. Asterisk carrot. Carrot asterisk, hee hee. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 255. 253. In the evening, we drank porridge, 1 bowl per person. Grandma Chi-san had a small bowl and He Tian had a large bowl. This was what Grandma Chi-san insisted on. He Tian wanted to give it to Grandma Chi-san, but she didn't want it and severely reprimanded He Tian. I'm old, and I'll starve to death if I have a bite to eat, but you young people are different. You have to work. If you don't eat, how will you work in the future? Grandma Chi-san insisted. She was worried that there would be no harvest this year and there would be no food. If you eat less now, you will have life-saving food later. Grandma. He Tian couldn't bear that Grandma Chi-san ate so little in order to give her food. Needless to say, if you don't listen to me, don't call me Grandma. Grandma Chi-san said sternly, don't think too much about it. I want to live more than anyone else, so I know it well and will not starve for anyone. Kill yourself. He Tian understood that Grandma Chi-san said this because she did not want her to feel guilty, so she could only drink the batter with tears in her eyes. He Tian secretly made up her mind to find a way to change the current situation. At night, after Grandma Chi-san fell asleep, He Tian took the Snake King and the little spin turtle out of the house and went to the cave in the back mountain. When they arrived at the entrance of the village, He Tian could still see torches beside the spring pool. This was because the people in the village were looking at the pool, worried that the water would dry up again. He Tian was worried and had no time to talk to the little turtle and the Snake King, but they all saw He Tian's loss. The Snake King is hesitating whether to use magic power. The little spinner turtle seemed to understand, and its little eyes rolled around, as if it had come up with a good idea. Unconsciously, they arrived at the cave in the back mountain, and He Tian went straight in. The barrier set up by the Snake King has no binding force on He Tian. He can come in at will, but other people or animals cannot. Fortunately, the little spin turtle was in the palm of He Tian's hand and was brought in directly. As soon as he came in, the little spinner turtle jumped to the ground with a pop as if it had been given a shot of chicken blood, and rushed forward with its short legs. He Tian was stunned. This little spinner turtle ran very fast. No slower than a rabbit. After a while, I heard a plop and jumped into the water. Small black dots were swimming around in it. In a few seconds, I sank and disappeared. The Snake King has not come to swim for a while and misses the feeling of being in the water. He does not mind that the little spinner turtle is also fluttering in it, swimming around in it, and then lying on his back on the water, which is very comfortable. He Tian used a sickle to cut wild vegetables in the cave, put it in the boundary space, and took it out when working tomorrow, saying that she was cutting wild vegetables in the mountain. Digging some wild vegetables can also help Grandma Chi-san eat more. As for the prey, He Tian will catch a few more when he has the opportunity in the future. The villagers have now finished their spring plowing and are very free. He Tian wants to get some prey, but under everyone's attention, he cannot act rashly. Furthermore, after being caught at the end of last year, there were a lot less prey in the back mountains. This is also the reason why no prey can be caught in the trap after the snow melts during the new year. Just when He Tian was concentrating on cutting wild vegetables, she suddenly heard the Snake King behind him screaming like his hair was exploding, saying, "Damn little turtle, come out here." He Tian was startled and quickly turned around, happy. The pool that originally had a lot of water dried up again, and the water from the spring also entered the mouth of the little spinner turtle. The Snake King was very angry. He was lying comfortably in the water when he suddenly found that his back was a little hard. When he opened his eyes, he found that he was sleeping on a stone at the bottom of the pool. The little spinner turtle was unmoved and continued to drink. Drink, I drink, drink, drink. As soon as the Snake King dumped his tail, he would rush up and think about the damn little turtle. Unexpectedly, as soon as the Snake King flew to a position 1 meter away from the little spinner turtle, the little spinner turtle released a water column 10 centimeters in diameter, which suddenly rushed the Snake King several meters away. The always arrogant Snake King became even more angry and refused to give it any color, thinking that it was easy to offend. The Snake King used all his strength and wanted to rush forward, but his body stopped moving in the air. What was going on? Turning his head, the Snake King saw He Tian grabbing his tail from behind. "Don't stop me, I'm going to beat this idiot to death," the Snake King said angrily, scolding He Tian to let go. "Snake King, wait a minute," He Tian carefully reassured, "think about it, the little spinner turtle has been moved to the square for so long, and it doesn't eat or drink, so it must be very hungry. It is our friend, how about just letting it go?" "No," the Snake King was unreasonable and said, "let me give it a good beating first." "Snake King," He Tian begged, "you are the superior Snake King. Isn't it beneath your status to argue with a little turtle?" The Snake King thought about it. What he did just now was very embarrassing and indeed beneath his status. "I am the Snake King who is above me. If you argue with a fool, wouldn't this great king also be a fool?" Snake King nodded, "What you are saying is that I don't care about this stupid turtle." After saying that, he went to a big rock by the pool and started practicing. He Tian wiped the sweat from her forehead and could finally breathe a sigh of relief. When she went to see the little spinner turtle again, she was stunned again. "My mother, is this too fierce?" He Tian swallowed to calm her frightened little heart. The little spinner turtle has now returned to its original size, like a millstone, lying in the pool, squinting its eyes and enjoying the spring water. By the way, just drink it. Why do you keep peeing? Is this intestine too straight? In order to appease the little turtle, He Tian Tian did not interrupt its enjoyment. However, He Tian Tian also noticed at this time that there was more and more water in the pool, and soon it was almost overflowing. He Tian Tian frowned and immediately understood the key. The original water output of the spring is similar to the water output of the water outlet flowing downward from the pool, so the water in the pool has always been maintained at a certain amount. However, after the secondary processing of the little spin turtle, the amount of spring water doubled than before, so the original water outlet was a bit small. He Tian Tian didn't want to see the cave flooded with water, so she hurried to the outlet of the pool and moved the big rocks away. The stone at the water outlet was originally one big piece, but after years of impact, it has been broken into several small pieces. Even if it is a small piece, it is compared to a whole piece as big as a wall. Fortunately, He Tian Tian was very strong and used all her strength to move away those stones the size of millstones. He Tian Tian stuck out her head and looked to the other side, and found that on the other side was a cave half as tall as a man, with the sound of dripping water coming from time to time. It was pitch dark inside and the wind was blowing cold, so He Tian Tian didn't dare to go in. I recommend my old books A Fair Wife and The Wine Lady. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 256. 254. Just then, He Tian Tian looked down and saw that the water under her feet was gone again. She thought that the turtle's appetite had increased, but when she turned around, it was not there. It was still the same as before, which was a bit confusing. The Snake King watched He Tian Tian moving stones there with a chuckle. The water was gone, and he began to feel confused again. He felt funny. Ha ha ha. The Snake King laughed, so stupid, the water outlet is too big. He Tian Tian was embarrassed. She had thought of such a simple question just now, but she didn't think of it the second time she encountered it. It must be that the stone was too heavy, pressing on her nerve endings, so that she reacted a little slowly. She resolutely refused to admit that she was stupid. He Tian Tian moved two stones, one large and one small, to block part of the water outlet from the left. Sure enough, after a while, the water in the pool slowly increased. Unknowingly, I have been in the cave for 3 or 4 hours. If I don't go back, Grandma Chi-san will probably wake up. The Snake King couldn't leave He Tian Tian, so he tactfully entered the barrier on He Tianatian's left ankle. But the turtle in the pool was still drinking. Little turtle, are you going to leave? He Tian Tian asked, haven't you drunk enough? The little turtle slowly stopped and said, this is suitable for me to practice, and it will be my home in the future. I won't go back, you guys go back. Ah, He Tian Tian was stunned, aren't you afraid to be here alone? Upon hearing this, the little turtle shook his head quickly and said, I've been in the river for tens of thousands of years, and I'm still fine. I'm not afraid. You guys go, just come to see me often, I'll miss you. Yes, this kid has good eyesight and knows that this king doesn't like it. But He Tian Tian hesitated. Hurry up, it's going to be dawn soon, the Snake King reminded and urged, leaving this idiot here, it can practice in peace in the barrier without being disturbed by this idiot. The little spiral turtle, don't walk around, He Tian Tian said, and then left with a worry. When she reached the foot of the mountain, He Tian Tian remembered and asked, Snake King, will the little spiral turtle escape? He. No, the Snake King said proudly, that is the barrier I set up. Only you and I can enter and exit at will. It was able to enter just now because you brought it in. If no one brings it out, it will never come out. Besides, that spring has spiritual energy and is suitable for it to practice. For this reason, it will not escape. Great, then I won't worry, He Tian Tian smiled. When she walked to the entrance of the village, there were cheers from the men at the edge of the pond a few dozen meters away. It was a little dark, so He Tian couldn't go around. She would ask what was going on when it was light. He Tian returned home and got up after sleeping for an hour. Grandma Chi San was cooking at home, and He Tian went to fetch water and took a look at the situation of the spring pond. On the way, she met many people fetching water, and people greeted her from time to time. Sister Tian, are you here to fetch water? Chi Xiaoyan caught up with He Tian. She was also carrying a shoulder pole with 2 buckets on both sides. Yes, Xiaoyan, how are you packing? He Tian asked. In a few days, Chi Xiaoyan will go to work. Everything is distributed at the unit. There is not much to bring. I have packed it a long time ago, Chi Xiaoyan explained. We can't play together in the future. Alas, I feel reluctant when I think about it. Okay, you are going to work and you will always come back, He Tian said. When you get to the unit, study hard and serve the people. I will, Sister Tian, Chi Xiaoyan said. By the way, my mother has prepared some thank you gifts. When you go to the animal husbandry team later, call me. I want to thank Professor Wang very much. Chi Xiaoyan was able to be admitted to the art troupe because of her talent and hard work, and on the other hand, she received systematic music teaching from Professor Wang, so she was able to win the first place in the written test and interview. Okay, we should really thank Professor Wang, He Tian smiled. By the way, it's very lively ahead, let's go faster and take a look. I know what's going on, Chi Xiaoyan said. My dad took people to watch the pond yesterday. The water in the spring pond kept flowing out. But in the middle of the night, the water column suddenly surged up and more spring water emerged. Just now, my dad led people to widen the outlet and guide the water into the canal to irrigate the farmland. Oh, is this true? He Tian was surprised. She always felt that something was wrong, but for a while she didn't connect the spring pond with the pond in the secret base. I didn't believe it at first, but I just saw it when I carried water, and I believed it, Chi Xiaoyan said. My dad also said that if the water in this pond continues to be so much, the fields in our village will not be barren. That's great, He Tian said excitedly. Water means crops and food, and we don't have to go hungry this year. The two walked to the spring pond together. He Tian looked at the water surface and found that the water inside was clearer and cleaner than before. What made He Tian most happy was the splash above the water surface, which proved that the spring water was more than before. From the bottom of the clear water, it can be seen that the spring eye is also larger than before. The gurgling water keeps flowing into the stream. The water in the stream has also changed from half a foot deep to 1.5 feet deep. This is a good phenomenon. He Tian picked up 2 buckets of water and went home with Chi Xiaoyan. Chi Xiaoyan was carrying a bamboo basket with 2 pieces of cloth, 10 kilograms of rice, 2 boxes of malted milk, and a kilogram of sugar in it. This is the best gift Chi Xiaoyan can give. In an era of material scarcity, there is no food, and cloth is more affordable. Arriving at Professor Wang's room, Chi Xiaoyan bowed to Professor Wang and said, "Thank you, Teacher Wang, for cultivating me. Without your guidance, I would not have been admitted to the art troupe with excellent results." Professor Wang learned from Old Man Chi yesterday that Chi Xiaoyan was admitted to the art troupe and was very happy. "Okay, I accept your thanks. You can take the things back," Professor Wang said. In Kijia village, without Secretary Chi's care, they would not have been able to live such a stable life. She always remembered this favor and gave it to her. Chi Xiaoyan's tutoring was also out of a desire to return favors. "Teacher Wang, you must accept it," Chi Xiaoyan said. "This trip to Hawaii City made me understand how important your teaching is." "Haha, that's because of your talent and hard work." "It's not all my fault," Professor Wang said happily that Chi Xiaoyan will definitely become an excellent people singer in the future. Her unintentional act of cultivating a talent is also an affirmation of her talent. Furthermore, these things are very precious, especially in times of famine, so Professor Wang still doesn't want them. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 257. 255. Professor Wang is even more admirable. Seeing what Professor Wang said, Chi Xiaoyan still insisted, Teacher Wang, if you don't accept it, in my heart. He Tian stepped forward and persuaded, Professor Wang, just accept it. This is Xiaoyan's heart. If you don't accept it, she will feel uneasy even if she goes to the unit. Although it is not like before, she still respects the teacher. There is nothing wrong with being honest. Respect for teachers. Professor Wang was taken aback for a moment, and then he spoke to her heart. He smiled bitterly and said, okay, I'll keep these things. Is that okay? If it was in the past, if a good student had achieved success in his studies, she could still give him something as a gift, but now, forget it, money is tight, and the future is long, and she will give Chi Xiaoyan more if she has the opportunity in the future. Seeing Professor Wang accept it, Chi Xiaoyan was very happy and said, Teacher, when I get paid, I will honor you in the future. Don't wrong yourself outside, Professor Wang explained, even if you are in the army, you must practice the breathing method I teach every day and practice your voice every day without slacking off. If you have good talent, you can learn better than others. It's easier, but hard work is more important, and you can't waste such a good talent. This is what Professor Wang said from the bottom of his heart. I hope Chi Xiaoyan can practice diligently and become a great person soon. I will do it, Teacher Wang, Chi Xiaoyan promised, talking to Professor Wang about the exam that day. He Tian went to the back mountain to cut grass. She had already asked for leave for several days and could not slack off anymore. This year the livestock team has a very heavy task, and it coincides with the drought. There is no rain, and there is a lot less grass on the mountains, so they have to go to the dense forest to cut grass. It is hoped that the spring pool will have more and more water so that more crops can be irrigated. Since the water source is insufficient, Secretary Chi is in a dilemma about the livestock of the livestock team. I finally got a spot from my work unit, but I didn't expect that there would be a drought. Originally, these livestock were fed with grass, but there was a lot less grass. But if you kill or sell it now, it is too small and you won't be able to sell it for the price at all. Aunt Lu, He Tian, and several other people gathered grass every day, which was barely enough for the livestock to eat. At noon, He Tian and Chi Xiaoyan went home together. Grandma Chi San had already cooked. She might be hungry. As soon as she entered the house, she found that the food at home was more delicious than before. He Tian brought home the wild vegetables she got last night. Grandma Chi San washed them and fried them in the pot. There was an extra plate of vegetables at home. Grandma, today's food tastes better than before, have you noticed? He Tian finally couldn't help it anymore and asked Chi San's grandma to make sure if it was her illusion. Grandma Chi San smiled and said, the taste is better than before. I made it as usual. There is nothing special in it. This is strange. Such conversations occur in many homes in Kijia village. I couldn't understand it at home, but when I was carrying water from the spring pool, I suddenly understood it. The water in the spring pool is clearer, cleaner, and sweeter than before. It must be the water. Village Chief Chi spent most of the day at the pond. When he saw He Tian coming to carry water, he personally helped He Tian carry the water up. Thank you, Village Chief Chi, He Tian said crisply, this water is so clean. Yes, our Kijia village can be saved, Secretary Chi said with a smile, I don't ask for anything else now. I just want more spring water, and I will be satisfied. Yes, I will definitely do it, He Tian agreed. Secretary Chi, The stream is very low and cannot flow into the fields. I'm afraid we need to organize the villagers to start carrying water to irrigate the fields, right? Yes, once we have watered the lower ground, we will start watering the higher ground, Secretary Chi said with a smile. As long as there is enough water, and they are willing to carry water for irrigation, the most important thing for the people is strength. In the evening, He Tian was worried about the little turtle and went to the back mountain to have a look. Why are you still drinking? He Tian asked curiously. At the same time, she also discovered that the little spinner turtle was different. The skin was darker and brighter than before. It's okay anyway, I'll just keep drinking it, the little spinner turtle said. Look, I can produce 2 to 3 times the amount of water by myself. Isn't it amazing? He Tian swallowed her saliva. Although she couldn't accept it, it was a fact. She said, awesome, awesome. It's just that the water flowed into the ground. It can't get to the ground. It's a pity. The little spinner turtle said proudly, no, I just climbed in and took a look. A large part of it flowed into the ground, and a small part flowed to the ground. The ground, He Tian was puzzled, are you talking about the mountain spring? No, is it the spring at the entrance of your village? The little turtle said with a smile, it is connected to the spring here. He Tian's face is covered with black lines. Oh my god, he still didn't escape the fate of drinking its pee? You. He Tian pointed at the little turtle and was speechless. This bad guy. The little spinner drank a few more times and said, actually, I'm very clean. I don't have a digestive system like you humans. What I eat and drink, and the feces and urine that comes out, is still water, and it's cleaner than before. You just think of me as a talking filter, okay? Can you explain it this way? He Tian smiled bitterly. Who said that the little spinner turtle is stupid? It is not stupid at all. She is the stupid one. Of course you can. Use this water to cook, and it will taste good. Use this water to irrigate, and the land will be fertile. Look, there are so many benefits, you should praise me, not dislike me, the little spinner turtle complained, saying to He Tian disliked it before and was very dissatisfied. He Tian thought about it, it was indeed as the little turtle said, just think of it as a filter and water purifier, accept it. Okay, I'll just assume you're right, He Tian smiled, I was wrong to dislike you before. The little spinner turtle was even more proud, twisting its neck back and forth, but it was no longer small, but as big as a millstone, and it was a bit eye-catching to do such cute actions. Just admit your mistake, I forgive you, the little turtle said. After arriving here, it found that this was a particularly suitable place for its cultivation, and was very grateful to He Tian. The revenge hidden in my heart also faded. If it weren't for He Tian, he would still be enjoying the sun and being ridden in the square. It would be nice if you were always here. It would be better if He Tian and the Snake King came often and could relieve his sister's boredom. That's so kind of you, He Tian thanked her. She couldn't control what happened to other places, but at least the situation in Kijia village was not that bad. But He Tian didn't know that there was a severe drought in the entire Daowen County, and only Kijia village had water. This was even more enviable than the prey in the back mountains last year. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 258. 256. Kijia village was filled with joy because of the water source. But there are no other places. Even the well in Hujia village, the nearest village to Kijia village, can no longer produce water. A severe drought in Tai County this year has become a foregone conclusion. However, people in Hujia village heard that there was still water in Kijia village, so they came to fetch water one after another. Village Chief Chi had a headache. If he didn't carry water for those people would have no water to eat. They were all from the countryside and it was difficult to refuse. But if I agree, then the water in Kijia village will not be enough, and the fields are eagerly waiting for water for irrigation. Village Chief Chi has arranged for people to watch and will not allow people from other villages to carry water for the time being. The situation was urgent, and Village Chief Chi convened a meeting with village cotters. What should you do? Village Chief Chi asked. It concerns the entire Kijia village and he cannot have the final say alone. Chi Shulai thought for a while and said, Village Chief, if we let people from other villages come to collect water, our village will have no water for irrigation, and there will be no harvest. This is because our village cotters have not done anything. Chi Shuming listened and sneered in his heart. Chi Shulai was so determined because he hoped that Village Chief Chi would oppose other villages and cause trouble, so that he could reap the benefits. Accountant Chi, what you said makes sense. But don't forget that our Kijia village is the only one in Tai County that has water. As of today, people from 3 villages have come to collect water. As the drought intensifies, people from our village have come to collect water. There are more people fetching water in the village. 1 village is easy to deal with, 2 villages are barely enough. What about 3 villages, 4 villages, or 10 villages? Accountant Chi is also thinking about our village and doesn't want our village to reduce production. Besides, this is a new society and this is the water source of our village. If we don't allow it, they can still snatch it. Chi Shuqiang refuted Chi Shuming's words towards Chi Shulai. When Zhao Dejiao saw the 2 of them fighting again, he felt upset. How long had it been? Xiao Jiju was still feeling like this. Everyone, please stop saying a few words. You have forgotten that there were a lot of prey in the mountains behind us last winter. We wanted to monopolize it, and people from other villages came to snatch it. In the end, people were found dead. The commune came forward, but it was also based on the overall situation and towards other villages. People. This water source is only available in our village. Do you think the commune will support us? Besides, if you can't live without water, who cares about the future punishment? Let's live first, Zhao Dejiao said. Let everyone fell into silence. As a village cotter, you are not a fool, you can think of this situation. If you can't survive, who would think about punishment? Furthermore, the law does not punish the public. In such a situation, the commune has nothing to do. Then what should we do now? Chi Shuming said, we understand the truth, but there is not enough water. There is still water coming out of our village, which proves that there is a bigger water source below. Why don't we dig more wells? Chi Shulai suggested. There are no wells in Kijia village because there is spring water at the entrance of the village and there is no need to dig wells. This is one way. Village Chief Chi nodded. Are there any other ways? Drilling a well can at most provide enough water for domestic use, but what about irrigation? We need countless amounts of water. Where can we get it? There are some springs in the back mountain. We can lead them down and get some water, Chi Shuming suggested, gathering all the water that can be collected together. Village Chief Chi nodded and said, this is also feasible. If we can find enough water sources in the village or in the mountains behind, we may be able to keep this year's harvest, otherwise. Village Chief Chi did not continue speaking, but everyone understood. When Village Chief Chi returned home, he saw the worried eyes of his wife and daughter Chi Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan, I will take you to the county seat tomorrow and let the army take you to Hawaii City. I won't take you off. There are so many things going on in the village that I really can't leave. Village Chief Chi explained that the exam was in time for spring plowing. He didn't have time, he went to be a soldier and something like this happened, and he couldn't leave. Chi Xiao Yan shook her head and said, Dad, I know you have been worried about things in the village recently and have no time to see me off. There is no need to see me off. Brother Dajan will come over tonight and take me to the county seat by bicycle tomorrow. Hearing that New Dajan came to pick up his daughter, village chief Chi was slightly relieved and said, "That's okay. You are outside, so take good care of yourself and don't tire yourself." "I understand, Dad, the water source in the village." Chi Xiao Yan asked worriedly, "Will there be a fight?" "Hey, if we don't handle it well, fights are inevitable," village chief Chi said. "I can't survive without water or food. Who can care about so much?" "What should we do?" Chi Xiao Yan was anxious. She couldn't let go of her family. "Don't be afraid. Sooner or later, this matter will be reported to the unit. Then the unit will talk to me and let's discuss the terms," village chief Chi said. "Don't worry about your family affairs. You can go and be a soldier with peace of mind. In the army, at least my daughter doesn't have to go hungry." Chi Xiao Yan smiled and said nothing. If she acted too worried, it would make her parents even more worried. But she felt very sad and felt uncomfortable holding it in, so she secretly came over to He Tian to talk to him. Only then did He Tian realize that the water source of Kijia village had become the object of competition for other villages. "Hey, is it so difficult to long for good weather? Xiao Yan, you can save some food rations when you go out," He Tian said, "and you still have a salary. You can send it home, or buy food and send it back, which can reduce the burden on your family. Instead of you, if you worry here, you won't be able to help. It's better to perform well in the workplace and make your parents feel relieved and proud." Chi Xiao Yan's eyes were red, and she nodded and said, "Sister Tian, you are right, I should cheer up and not make my parents worry, let alone smear their faces." After getting some relief from He Tian, Chi Xiao Yan felt better. Only when Liang Hongyu came and shouted did he know that Niu Dajan was coming. Also coming with Niu Dajan was Niu Dajan's uncle, Niu Peng. He Tian was curious and came with Chi Xiao Yan to listen to Niu Peng's opinions. "If you guess correctly, it should be for the water source of Kijia village." Niu Peng took a puff of his cigarette and said, "Brother Chi, you have to think about the overall situation this time." Village chief Chi felt sad. He also wanted to think about the overall situation, but the villagers refused. "Brother, I am the village chief, so I will naturally consider the overall situation," village chief Chi said awkwardly. "Our village had a bumper harvest last year. Every household had food, and every household also got a lot of money from selling prey, so in the unit, they asked us to help other villages, and you came to do the work yourself." Everyone agreed. "We also understand that if we can't feed ourselves, we will watch others starve to death. But this is different from our own prey in the back mountains last year. The fields in the village are not irrigated, how can you just let people take away the water?" The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 259. Chapter 259, A Delicate Request, 1700 plus. 257. What village chief Chi said makes sense. Niu Peng is a smart man and will not understand. He nodded and agreed, "What you said makes sense, and the unit has fully taken your difficulties into consideration. This time is indeed different from the last time, but the unit is not letting people down. Kijia village has given up the water source, but wants to organize manpower to dig an extra spring in Kijia village. In this way, people in other villages can get water from those springs, and your village should still draw water from your pool for irrigation. Last year, the unit owed village chief Chi and Kijia village a favor. This time, they would not sacrifice the interests of Kijia village again. When it comes to food and life, the people of Kijia village will not give in. When the time comes, it will arouse greater conflicts, which will be troublesome." When village chief Chi heard Niu Peng's words, he felt slightly relieved and nodded, "You can have this. I want to do this too. I also know that there are springs in a place, but the water flows to the other side of the mountain, so it takes a lot of work to get them. Don't be afraid of the time and effort, the most important thing is to have water, Niu Peng said. The day after tomorrow there will be well digging experts sent by Huai City and the province. When the time comes, let them search more. If they can find the underground river, then better. Okay, village chief Chi agreed. Tomorrow the army will send Xiao Yan away, and we will hold a mobilization meeting in the village. Okay, after the meeting is over, I will go to other villages and discuss with the people in other villages, and let them contribute people when the time comes, Niu Peng said. In order to get water as soon as possible, people from other villages will also come over helpful. Early the next morning, Chi Xiao Yan took a small package and said goodbye to her parents. He Tian prepared a gift for Chi Xiao Yan. Inside the small package were 2 new style vests, which were very close-fitting and had straps on the sides that could be enlarged or reduced. Because Chi Xiao Yan has started to grow, she can use these 2 small clothes. As everyone watched, Chi Xiao Yan got on Niu Dajan's bicycle and went to the county town. Before leaving, Chi Xiao Yan's eyes were red, but she knew that she was now the pride of her parents, and she would be a glorious warrior in the future. After a simple breakfast, the village chief and Niu Peng began to mobilize everyone for a meeting. Recently, people in Kijia village have been worried about water issues. Now the leaders of the unit came, thinking they were here to steal their water, and all of them had ugly expressions. What we are robbing is not water, but food and life. During famines, many people starve to death. Those who have memories will be so frightened that they cannot sleep when they think about it. However, everyone felt slightly relieved when they heard that Niu Peng said that they should look for water or springs in the village or in the mountains behind. This is better, at least their water is saved. In fact, they are all from the village. There are many daughters in Kijia village who have married off and have wives from other villages. They don't want to complete things because relatives will not be able to do it in the future. After Niu Peng praised Kijia village's awakening, he took his secretary and hurriedly went to other villages to do work to stop them from robbing Kijia village's water. After he Tian came back from the mobilization meeting, she went to the cave in the back mountain that night. He Tian, Snake King, Spin Turtle, 3, 1 person and 2 beasts held a symposium. He Tian is sitting on the big rock, the Snake King is standing in the air, and the Spin Turtle is lying in the pool. The 3 armies are complete, including water, land and air. Spin Turtle, you said that most of the water here flows into the underground river, right? He Tian asked excitedly. If the water in the underground river can be drained out, the drought in Tai County can be solved. Yes, but the underground river is very deep from the ground. Spin Turtle nodded. It is very laborious to dig. Don't be afraid, there is strength in numbers, He Tian smiled. As long as we find the right location, everything else is a trivial matter. Hearing what He Tian said, Zingui shuddered and said, yes, you humans are the smartest. With more people, you are more powerful. If you don't have any conditions, you will have to create conditions. He Tian smiled coquettishly, a little embarrassed. Humans sometimes act too eagerly. Can you help me find the place closest to the underground river? He Tian asked. If we get the water out 1 day earlier, we can alleviate the drought earlier. The Spin Turtle said nothing, but looked at the majestic Snake King. The Snake King turned his head and said, this is your strength, look at what I do. My abilities are limited and I need the help of the Snake King. The Spin Turtle smiled honestly and sweetly. It had to do this, but with such a tiring job, how could it let a stone turtle do it so recklessly? He Tian looked at the Snake King and said with a smile, Snake King, on the premise that it does not affect your practice, please help the people of Tai County. The Snake King still didn't speak. He definitely refused to admit it. He liked to see He Tian begging him. Snake King, please. He Tian's delicate voice. The 2 eyes of the Spin Turtle were wandering around He Tian and the Snake King, snickering mischievously. "I, your majesty, will take care of it," Snake King agreed. "This is also a meritorious deed. When will it start?" He Tian asked hurriedly. "What do you need me to do?" The Snake King said lazily, "You don't have to do anything, just wait here for us." He Tian nodded repeatedly and said, "Okay, thank you King Snake." The Spin Turtle was unhappy, raised his little paw, and said, "I am the one who mainly does the work." The Spin Turtle felt a little regretful and shot himself in the foot. He wanted to drag the Snake King into the water and work with him. But it forgot that when working together with the Snake King is the leader, and it is a soldier. If it has any merit, most of it belongs to the Snake King. So sad. "You're the only one who talks nonsense, work." The Snake King jumped on the Spin Turtle's back and poked the Spin Turtle with the tip of his tail. He Tian touched the back of the turtle and said, "The turtle is so awesome. Thank you for your hard work." The Spin Turtle wanted to say a few more words, but the Snake King became impatient and said, "If you keep nagging, I'll seal your mouth." The Spin Turtle quickly covered its mouth with a big paw in front of it, walked on 3 legs, followed behind the Snake King, staggering, very funny. A snake and a turtle went down the outlet of the pool. He Tian waited anxiously by the water, hoping they would come back soon. Recalling that since the appearance of the Snake King, He Tianation's life has undergone earth-shaking changes. Not only did she have a new life, but she also got up again in a remote mountain village, where she fell down in her previous life. With the Snake King, Qi Jiangguo's conspiracy and deception cannot deceive her. With Snake King, she changed her friend's life situation. Her parents are healthy, her friends are happy, and she is living a fulfilling life. Now that we have baby spinner turtles again, it's even more fun than before. The reason why He Tian is so willing to recruit the little spinner turtle is that she hopes to use its abilities to alleviate the disaster in Tai County. On the other hand, she hopes to find a partner for the Snake King. Starting tomorrow, there will be 1 chapter of 4,000 words, and 2 chapters will be updated every day, for a total of 8,000 words. Updated at 7 a.m. and 12 p.m. respectively. Hope you all can support me. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 260. 258. This is the human world after all, and the Snake King will definitely feel lonely if he has no other kind. However, He Tian took it for granted. The Snake King and the Spinner Turtle were disgusted with each other from the very beginning. Because there was something on his mind, He Tian couldn't sleep, so he started cleaning the cave. Because she often brings Snake King here, there are already many gadgets, pots and pans inside, just like a small home. After cleaning up, He Tian dug wild vegetables in the open air. She discovered that the wild vegetables here were more delicious than those outside. It wasn't until the sky was slightly bright that the Snake King and the little Spinner Turtle crawled back exhausted. Seeing how tired they looked, He Tian couldn't help but ask immediately, and asked with concern, "Are you okay?" "I'm hungry, I want to drink water." The turtle slowly crawled to the spring, opened its mouth wide, and began to drink and release water. He Tian couldn't accept it at first, but once she got used to it, and it really turned into a water filter, she felt much better. The Snake King didn't want to speak and went directly into the enchantment space to practice. Seeing that it was getting late, He Tian sneaked home and waited until they had rested before asking again. During the day, Lu Dehai personally brought experts from 2 provinces over and asked them to find water in the only place with sufficient water. They took tools and wandered around the village. They found that except for the spring, it was impossible to get water from other places in Kijia village. There was a small spring on the mountain, which didn't help. They organized people to drill several holes in different locations in the village and came to a disappointing conclusion. The entire village was built on a huge rock. To get water, one had to penetrate dozens of meters of rock. He Tian didn't have time to listen to the expert's instructions on how to find water, but went to the back mountain to cut grass. When I came to the animal husbandry team, I saw Professor Wang washing clothes. But her clothes had been washed away by the slow stream. She didn't notice it, but stared at the stream. He Tian quickly walked a few steps, took off her shoes, and helped her get her clothes back. Professor Wang, you didn't even see the clothes float away, He Tian asked, what are you looking at? Are you so lost in thought? Professor Wang did not answer, but rolled up his trousers and got into the water. Professor Wang, tell me what you are looking for and I will fish it for you. He Tian reminded that Professor Wang is old and he will suffer if he slips in the water. Professor Wang still didn't speak, but put his hand into the water, as if to touch the bubbles rising from the bottom of the water. He Tian wanted to go down and help Professor Wang, but Professor Wang suddenly said, don't come down. He Tian was so frightened that she retracted her legs. Fortunately, the stream was not deep, and she was on the edge and could help Professor Wang immediately. Professor Wang touched several places where bubbles kept rising, muttering in his mouth as if he was possessed by an evil spirit. What exactly does Professor Wang want to do? He Tian followed Professor Wang's movements and looked over. She was surprised to find that at the bottom of the creek, which was more than 2 meters wide and less than half a meter deep, bubbles were bubbling out in many places, as if there were holes at the bottom of the creek. Same. When He Tian couldn't figure it out, Professor Wang came out of the water, picked up a sharp stone, and started writing on the flat bottom. It's not writing, to be precise, it's calculation. Those complicated formulas and symbols make He Tian's eyes sparkle. Although she recognized many numbers in it, but when combined with some symbols, she had no idea what they meant. However, Professor Wang's expression was serious, but there was ecstasy, and it was not like he was possessed. He Tian was on the side to protect her from falling, and did not interrupt her thoughts. You must know that when a genius is serious, he is almost like a madman. About half an hour later, Professor Wang laughed out loud, a hearty laugh that came from deep within. Professor Wang, what's wrong with you? He Tian asked, are you really crazy? Professor Wang shook his head and said, I'm fine. I'm so happy. He Tian turned to look at the stream. Except for some bubbles rising up, everything else was the same as before. There was nothing strange about it. Haha, I found the water source, Professor Wang said with a smile. Go and call village chief Chi and ask him to bring a few strong young men over. Don't tell anyone else. Professor Wang is now a decentralized person, and he doesn't want to come forward with some matters, so he asked village chief Chi to come over and ask him to dig first, and then talk about the credit after digging out the water. He Tian was pleasantly surprised. She looked at Professor Wang, then at the large piece of mysterious formulas on Professor Wang's floor, and asked, you are a mathematician, how come you understand geography? Haha, I know some geography, and I am also proficient in physics, Professor Wang said. Mathematics is used in many sciences. Based on those bubbles, I calculated that there are underground rivers below and upstream of this creek. But after all, there is no professional instruments, can't be very sure. Hearing and He Tian vaguely thought of something. He Tian admired her deeply and nodded repeatedly. Professor Wang, I will call village chief Chi right now. Those experts have been wandering around the village in the back mountains for several days, but they haven't found a drop of water. He Tian threw all her things by the stream and quickly went to the village to find village chief Chi. But when I first entered the village, I saw Lu Lingli. Tian, Lu Lingli stepped forward, I have something to ask you. He Tian was stunned and asked, what do you want from me? I want you to help me fetch a few buckets of water, Lu Lingli said. There is very little well water in our village. We waited all day to get only one bucket. There are several of us, and there is not enough water at all. Only then did he Tian remember that the spring water at the entrance of the village had given priority to irrigating the land in Kijia village and preserving the food in Kijia village. Then people from the Chi family also helped to find water sources and dig wells. As a result, water shortage villages are even more stressed about water. Okay, then you can go fetch water from the water tank at my house, he Tian said. People in Hujia village can't fetch water directly from the spring pool, but there are relatives and friends in Kijia village. In this case, they can get water from their relatives. Pick at home. Many people do this, but if he Tian does this, it's nothing. Lu Lingli was delighted and said, "Thank you, Tian, I'll go back and get the bucket right now. You should know where I live. Just go directly." "There is someone at home," he Tian said. "I am not at home for something, so I will say hello to grandma in advance." "Okay, you go about your business," Lu Lingli said gratefully. Originally, she didn't have high expectations. After all, she had not been happy with he Tian before, but she didn't expect he Tian to agree so readily. After Lu Lingli finished speaking, she walked back to get the bucket. The reason why he Tian agreed to Lu Lingli was not because of how good her relationship with Lu Lingli was, but because of such a thing. If he Tian didn't agree, it would be bad for he Tianation's own reputation. "Don't save me. Still a fellow countryman." People's words are scary, but he Tian doesn't want to offend Lu Lingli because of this trivial matter. At the same time, if he Tian refuses, Lu Lingli will definitely hate her and it will not be worth it. He Tian felt that she already had many hostile people and didn't want to add another one. He Tian ran to the village branch, where village chief Chi and two experts were arguing. Seeing that there were other people around, he Tian said crisply, "Village chief Chi, Aunt Liang is looking for you." Secretary Chi really thought something was going on at home, so he said, "Shulai, Bigfoot, please call two experts and take them around the village to see if there is any suitable place." "Okay, my sister-in-law is calling you." "You should go back quickly," Zhao Dejiao urged. Everyone was exhausted because they were looking for water. Secretary Chi Xiao Yan walked out of the village branch not far away. He Tian said, "Village Chief Chi, it was Professor Wang who asked me to tell you that the creek next to the livestock team may have a water source, but before the water is dug out, no one is sure. If you want to try, you can ask a few people from the village to dig it." "Really?" Village Chief Chi's eyes lit up, and he turned around to return to the village branch. "It's true, but it's not confirmed yet." Professor Wang was worried that if it wasn't true, he would be laughed at, so he Tian quickly stopped Village Chief Chi and told him not to talk to the two experts. Explain. Village Chief Chi thought about it. Professor Wang's identity was sensitive, so he nodded and said, "Then let's wait until the water is dug out, and then we can reward him based on his merits." "That's fine, I'll call a few people and I'll be there right away." "Okay, I'll go there first," he Tian said. She also wanted to see with her own eyes whether the underground river could be dug out. "You go ahead," he Tian said, "probably missing work again today. But if the water source is found, maybe she can take some of the credit." He Tian went home and talked to Grandma Chi-san. After a while, a fellow villager came to the house to fetch water, so she hurried to the back mountain. "Don't be nervous, don't be anxious, there must be water down there." The Snake King seemed to have woken up, and his lazy voice reached He Tianation's mind. He Tian was stunned for a moment, then got confirmation from the Snake King, and asked, "Did you and the little spinner do it?" "Yes, otherwise what do you think?" Snake King asked back, looking very disdainful. "Then, how did you do it?" He Tian asked curiously. If there is a Snake King, she is completely relieved. With the help of the Snake King and the little spinner turtle, there must be water down there. From the underground river to the ground of Kijia village, there is a huge rock. We can only pick the weakest point at the beginning, which is the stream of the livestock team in the back mountain, so we drilled some holes. Yesterday was very tiring, I didn't tell you, but I didn't expect that old woman to be so powerful and actually figure out the location, the Snake King said with emotion. No wonder humans cultivate faster than ordinary monsters. Although the human body is not as strong as monsters, the brain is flexible. That's it, he Tian said happily. Thank you so much, Snake King. You don't need to thank me, I'm doing this for myself too, Snake King said. If you don't have enough to eat and drink, you can't provide me with holy blood. Haha, then I will eat more and drink more, and I will be fat and healthy, he Tian promised. The Snake King has a sharp mouth and a heart of tofu. He looks arrogant on the surface, but in his heart lives a kind-hearted little Gongju. At the foot of the mountain, he Tian looked at the bubbles and kept laughing. At this time, Professor Wang had already called Zhou Li, Xiangrong, Qianchikan, and Sun Xiao to dig out with shovels. He Tian rolled up his trousers, got into the water, and helped pick up the small stones from the bottom of the river to the shore. By the time village chief Qi came over with Qi Ergu, Qi Rongman, and Qi Shuming, a lot of small stones had been picked up by the stream. Village chief Qi brought tools and began to dig cracks in the river bottom. Professor Wang, whether there is any down there or not, I thank you, Secretary Qi said gratefully. Professor Wang did this so that water could be found in the village. Haha, I'm not very sure. If you dig deeper, it won't be very deep, Professor Wang reminded, keeping his eyes on the bubbles. Qi Ergu will go to college in a few days. Because there is no water in the village and he cannot read books, he helps dig wells everywhere. Snake King, most of the little spin turtle was completed yesterday, so today the people brought by village chief Qi soon dug out a hole as thick as a child's arm, and a jet of cold water rushed up and sprayed on Qi Ergu's face. Ah, Qi Ergu was stunned, and then shouted, "There is water, there is water." Everyone looked at the water column in front of Qi Ergu and were filled with joy. We have water, Secretary Qi said excitedly. The pressure these days has made him sleepless and eating, so he can give an explanation to the unit. Professor Wang came over and continued to calculate on the ground based on the size of the hole dug by Qi Ergu and the height of the water column. Secretary Qi wanted to work hard and dig bigger, and said, "Keep digging." "Wait a minute," Professor Wang stopped him, "wait a few minutes and let me do the calculations." Although Secretary Qi didn't understand why Professor Wang stopped her, he respected Professor Wang and was willing to listen to her, saying, "That's okay, we'll wait for you to make the calculation." Qi Ergu over there saw Professor Wang writing formulas and calculations on the ground, and he was very envious and admired him. After a while, Professor Wang finally made the calculation and raised his head and said, "Village Chief Qi, we can't dig it out for the time being. This creek is very shallow and small. If you dig it bigger, it will overflow. The livestock team will be flooded. Moreover, the farmland at the foot of the mountain will also be flooded. It is better to widen and deepen the creek and then divert it into a large ditch at the foot of the mountain." Secretary Qi slapped his head and said, "How could I forget this important thing? Shuming, go to the village and call someone. Ergu, go call Niu Dajan's uncle and the two experts here." "Yes, I'll go right away," Qi Shuming said excitedly. "There is really water here, and the people of Daowen County can be saved." After a while, Deputy County Magistrate Niu and two experts came over. "I was surprised to see the water spraying out half a meter high." "Water, there is water," Niu Peng said excitedly, proving that their method was correct. A rare underground water source could be found in Kijia village. The two experts almost put their heads into the water to look at this place. They came to see it yesterday. This creek only left some water from the mountain. There is no way it has rich groundwater. Yes, there is water. I will arrange for people to widen the creek, divert the water into the canal, and then continue to drill the spring. Village Chief Qi agreed. In order to alleviate the drought as soon as possible, this matter of widening the canal I'll make arrangements. Work in 2 shifts day and night to widen and deepen the area as soon as possible, Niu Peng said, and then asked his assistant to take people to each village to inform the village. In the past, there were 2,000 words per chapter, 3 updates a day and 6,000 words. Tomorrow it will be changed into a big chapter of 4,000 words, 1 chapter and 2 chapters of 8,000 words will be updated. They are at 7 a.m. and 12 noon, respectively, for 1 week. Please subscribe and reward. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 261. Chapter 261, Feng Shui Treasure Land Overcoming Tribulation, 1720 plus, 1740 plus. The 2 experts couldn't figure it out, but when they saw the neat and complicated formulas on the ground, they were dumbfounded. There are experts in this village. Who wrote the formulas on the ground? One of the experts asked, very excited. To have such mathematical skills and physics knowledge, he is definitely not an ordinary person. After hearing this, village chief Chi introduced with a smile, this is Aunt Wang, who used to be a professor in the mathematics department of Nanji University. Professor Wang smiled peacefully and stood not far away looking at the water splash. Hello, hello. The professor walked a few steps quickly, stretched out his hands, and wanted to shake hands with Professor Wang. These are the talents who were sent to the countryside. Hey, let's not talk about other things, but from the knowledge on the ground, Professor Wang is better than them. For those who engage in scientific research, they will obey anyone who has the ability. They wandered around for several days and could not find water. They were unable to complete their mission and were unable to alleviate the drought. They had no way to explain when they returned. Although they didn't find it now, after all, the water has come out, which has alleviated the drought, and it is finally better. Professor Wang stretched out his right hand and said, hello. Excellent, expert appraised, you are ashamed of yourself. It's just a coincidence, Professor Wang said modestly. It was a coincidence. She had never seen such a situation before when she washed clothes. That's not a coincidence, Expert B pointed to the calculation process on the ground. He had just taken a closer look. It contained complex physical knowledge and profound mathematical calculations. Professor Wang smiled but said nothing. In this regard, she is indeed very confident. Niu Peng came over in person, held Professor Wang's hand, and said, I want to thank you on behalf of the hundreds of thousands of people in Daowen County. When I get back, I will report it to my unit and I will definitely reward you for your merits. I also did my best, Professor Wang said, hoping that after this meritorious service, she could communicate with her family. Niu Peng wrote down Professor Wang's achievements and thought about returning to the commune to deal with Professor Wang to improve her situation. In less than an hour, Chi Ergu had already led hundreds of people. Some were from Kijia village, and some were from other villages. Men, women, old, and children came to plow the river with tools in their hands. When looking for water, the 2 experts did not play their role. When widening the creek, they finally came into use. According to the topography, the most reasonable route was found. The total distance from the water source to the ditch was 1,100 meters, which was 200 meters less than the original. More and more people are coming, estimated to be in the thousands. Everyone's desire for water has reached its peak. They kept working without eating. When they were thirsty, they took a few sips of water from the stream. As for some people being barefoot in the water, no one cared. When people are short of water, they can drink their own urine, let alone stream water. If there is water at this time, rice can be planted, and sweet potatoes can be grown on dry fields. You will not go hungry this year. I originally thought there would be overtime work at night, but by evening, the river and creek had been widened to 4 meters wide and 1.5 meters deep. Seeing that the river channel had been completed, Niu Peng brought a special drill bit and asked people to go down and drill the water outlet larger. Everyone waited quietly, watching the widened creek, hoping that the water would flow through as soon as possible. The water outlet, which was originally only as thick as a child's wall, gradually became the size of a wash basin, and then continued to be dug into the size of a millstone. The huge force of the water pushed people back a few steps. Professor Wang pointed to the area to the west and said, "Make another hole of that size here." The two men stood firm in the water and continued digging. When it was about the same size as the previous millstone, Professor Wang quickly said, "You two come up, hurry up." The two people knew that Professor Wang was a capable person. When they heard what they said, they quickly walked to the side. The one in front walked faster and climbed to the shore, while the one in the back moved slower and was washed away several meters. Fortunately, there were a few strong young men nearby, who quickly pulled the man ashore. There was only a click sound. There was a distance of half a meter between the two millstone-sized holes. They were opened directly by the water flow. On the side of the city, it turned into a big hole. A large amount of water gushes out from it, bringing with it the underground water. The cold shock came out. The people on both sides cheered when they saw the water flowing past their eyes. "There's water again, there's water," everyone cheered. "The water is too small, can it be made larger?" someone asked. There is a lot of water, but they hope to have more water so that they can put it into large-scale production as soon as possible. When Professor Wang was about to say something, Expert A stood up and said, "No, this year is a drought, but next year it will rain. Do you want a flood to happen?" When everyone heard this, they fell silent. Drought is a disaster, but floods are also scary. These people probably have enough is enough, and no one can be greedy. Niu Peng was excited when he saw the clear water. After the drought, Lu Dehai was transferred and he became the county magistrate. When there is water in the ditch, Hujia village is the first to benefit. The head of Hujia village organized people to start plowing the land overnight, trying to plant crops in the shortest possible time. Although these people didn't have a lot of water, it was barely enough. The water in Kijia village is more abundant, and every household grows vegetables in the yard at the door. What I planted before dried out because there was no water. Village Chief Chi wrote a report and gave it to Niu Peng. After Niu Peng returned to the commune, he was praised by County Chief Lu. Lu Dehai directed large-scale production everywhere and was praised by Huai city leaders. One link after another, the situation keeps getting better. In just half a month, the drought in Daowen County has been alleviated, and the people can finally feel relieved. They are very grateful to Kijia village. The advantage of this is that the eldest girls and young men in Kijia village are particularly popular, and matchmakers come to arrange marriage every day. Although people don't say it on the surface, many elderly people think that Kijia village is a geomantic treasure. Last year, most of the villages in Daowen County were soaked by the rain, but Kijia village did not waste a grain of grain. This year there was a severe drought, and all the villages had dry water. The centuries-old spring pools in Kijia village are still the same as before, which proves that they were destroyed by the rain. Oh, blessed place! In this way, in a place that was originally considered remote and unpromising, people from other villages looked down upon it and were not willing to marry their daughters over. It was also difficult for the young people in Kijia village to find a wife. Now it's a hot commodity. This makes the young people in the village so happy that they don't have to worry about finding a wife. The girl's family can now find someone from a relatively well-off family. This can be considered an unexpected surprise. He Tian was secretly happy and thanked the Snake King and the little turtle for their efforts. For the Snake King, He Tian can repay it with his own blood, but for the stone statue of the little spin turtle, He Tian doesn't know how to repay it. At night, He Tian went to the cave in the back mountain. The Snake King played for a while and began to practice on the rocks beside the pool. The little spinner turtle was still there, drinking water with its mouth open. "Spin Turtle, thank you for helping me," He Tian said gratefully. "What can I do for you?" The little spinner tilted his head and said cutely, "You brought me here, which is the greatest help you can give me. It's so fun here, there is water, spiritual energy, fish, and friends." For tens of thousands of years, especially after the owner left, it was the only one left. When it cultivated its spiritual consciousness and could speak, as soon as it made a sound, it scared away the fish and shrimps, and it never spoke again. Although it has gone through a lot of hardships, it is no longer alone. Hearing these words, He Tian's ears felt warm. What a wonderful little turtle! The anger before, he must have been so angry that he would think of revenge on mankind. "I don't know what I can do for you. If you want me to do anything, as long as I can do it, I will try my best to help you," He Tian said. "Don't be shy, and don't be embarrassed." Cough cough cough. The Snake King is listening with his ears propped up over there. "I'm not happy to see He Tian being so kind to the little turtle." "Same goes for the Snake King," He Tian said. "You are all kind and you are my family." "That's pretty much it." The Snake King turned over and continued to sleep. The little turtle blinked and said, "Tian is the kindest girl. In fact, you asked us to do things for the sake of the villagers. Those villagers got benefits, Snake King, and I got merits, but you got nothing, that's the most selfless thing." Oops, the words of the little spin turtle are so heartwarming, coupled with the big dark round eyes and the cute tone of voice, it will almost melt He Tian's little heart. Flattery. Snake King curled his lips, turned over, and turned his back to them. He Tian smiled and stuck out his tongue. The little spinner turtle also grinned and smiled silently. He Tian goes to Huishan every day. Although he sleeps little at night, He Tian does not feel lack of energy, but feels full of energy. Because of the water, the crops in the fields are green and prosperous. The Snake King has been practicing diligently, and it's time for He Tian to offer the holy blood. He Tian ate extra meals in the cave every night. Every meal was full and her face was rosy. Grandma Chi was so sad to see her. It's better to be young. On this day, at night, He Tian came to the back mountain again. The Snake King came out of the barrier and hesitated, not knowing what to say. He Tian noticed King Snake's hesitation and asked, "King Snake, are you worried? Can you tell me?" Seeing He Tian's smiling face, the Snake King felt flustered. He did not answer, but practiced on the big rock. After a while, after calming down, the Snake King flew to He Tian. He Tian stretched out Bai Shenshen's ankle and said, "You start." Although the Snake King knew that drinking He Tian's holy blood would not do any harm to her, for some reason, a feeling of reluctance suddenly arose in its heart. If it weren't for the fact that it still has important responsibilities, it would be nice if there were no disputes here. Practice every day. Talk every day. Every day I see He Tian jumping up and down with anger, but looking helpless. No. The Snake King quickly shook his head. He was the Supreme Snake King and could not just settle down in a corner like a useless little snake. It wants to go back and win back its dignity. He Tian was very surprised. What was the Snake King doing? Sometimes he laughs, and sometimes he shakes his head. Just when He Tian was about to ask, she felt a soreness in her left ankle and lay softly on the stone, losing consciousness. I don't know how long it took, but He Tian felt something cold rubbing her arm. He Tian slowly woke up. It was dark and not as bright as usual. Before she could see who was rubbing her, she heard a thunder, boom, boom, boom. "What's going on?" He Tian asked in fear. "Snake King, little spin turtle, where are you?" She remembered that she was in a cave before. "I'm here," the little spinner is here. The little spinner hurriedly comforted He Tian Tian. Its voice was a little trembling. It was also very scared. Ah! There's only the little spinner turtle, where's the Snake King? In the past, whenever there was danger, the Snake King would always come out to protect her immediately. But now the Snake King is missing? Have you left? Or was there an accident? At this time, He Tian Tian thought that the Snake King was hesitant before. There must be something important. Did something happen to the Snake King? He Tian Tian choked, very anxious. The little spinner turtle was frightened and said tremblingly, something has happened, something big has happened. The Snake King is going through a calamity. Overcoming the tribulation? What a fantasy word. With the life experience of a good woman like He Tian Tian, she doesn't understand this. After overcoming the tribulation, can the Snake King return to the demon world? He Tian Tian asked. While she was happy that the Snake King could go home, she was also a little disappointed. It can't be that easy, the little spin turtle replied. This is the 3 days of mysterious thunder. After 3 days of mysterious thunder, there are still 6 days of mysterious thunder and 9 days of mysterious thunder. It's a narrow escape every time. A narrow escape? Qian Xian understood that out of the 10 tribulations, 9 were struck to death by lightning. The probability was very low. He Tian Tian quickly stood up and followed her intuition to follow the lightning. She stood in the middle of the pool and looked up. In the night, the rumbling sound is endless. In the chaotic lightning, He Tian Tian saw the Snake King facing the impact of thunder and lightning in the air. Lightning struck the Snake King one after another. The Snake King did not dodge and let the lightning strike on it. So much so that there were already a lot of black burns on the clean body. Idiot, aren't you usually very smart and flexible? Silly, stay away. Get away, He Tian Tian shouted from below, dancing and anxious. The thunder outside was very loud, and the Snake King was in the air, so He Tianatian's voice could not be heard at all. However, inexplicably, the Snake King felt He Tianatian's breath. That stupid woman is still so stupid while dancing. However, this stupidity is just for the sake of it, so I won't laugh at her. Suddenly there is a bright light on the horizon from far to near. The white light has a chilling blue color. At first glance, it contains more energy than the current lightning. The Snake King felt the huge pressure and impact, which was about to come. He no longer looked at He Tian Tian below, but raised his head and rushed towards the thunder and lightning like an indomitable warrior. Idiot, get away, He Tian Tian said loudly. She lost her voice because of her nervousness and was speechless for a moment. Please support. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 262. 260. That guy is so stupid, just get out of the way. Crack, with a sound, the Snake King and the thunder collided together, causing a blinding glare. He Tian Tian closed her eyes, and she did not dare to look. When it got a little quieter outside, He Tian Tian opened her eyes. I saw that the Snake King's body had completely turned into burnt black carbon, with a faint trace of smoke still rising from it. Although it was very embarrassing outside, the Snake King still raised his head and was not afraid of the thunder and lightning just now. It's okay, He Tian Tian thought that it was over, and the Snake King had survived the thunder disaster. There are still 2 more, the little spin turtle said dully. Compared with the previous master's relaxed and indifferent appearance when he was going through the tribulation, the Snake King was really a bit embarrassed. The way of heaven is everywhere. After the Snake King sucked the holy blood, he suddenly advanced to a stage. He did not have time to suppress his spiritual power and directly ushered in the thunder disaster. There are 2 more, He Tian Tian was dumbfounded. You can't play like this. 2 more dishes, the Snake King will really become a grilled snake kebab. Then what can I do to help the Snake King? He Tian Tian asked worriedly. She did not dare to yell and interfere with the Snake King's tribulation. The Spin Turtle shook his head and said, "We can't help, it can only deal with it alone." "Does it mean that as long as these 3 lightning strikes, it's over? If you avoid it and can't hit you, you won't be injured and you can survive the thunderstorm?" He Tian asked, "Dodging if you can, don't be so stupid. It can be avoided. It is not difficult for the Snake King to avoid these 3 thunder and lightning. But if it can avoid it this time, it may not be able to avoid it next time. It will still be finished. At the same time, these thunder and lightning are very scary, but at the same time it also contains a lot of power and strong spiritual energy from heaven and earth. Only after being refined by lightning can the body reach a certain strength. It can be said that it goes up against the thunder and lightning in order to strengthen itself and prepare for the future tribulation." The little Spin Turtle carefully explained to He Tian why the Snake King did what he did. He Tian suddenly realized that he was not a stupid Snake King, but he had to do this. At this time, He Tian looked at the Snake King, as if he was breathing hard to absorb nutrients, and his body was bigger than before. At this moment, another streak of white light with red light flew from the sky, getting closer and faster from far away. The Snake King tried his best to absorb energy and resist the next wave of blows. The moment He Tian blinked with sore eyes, the thunder fell on the Snake King. Click, click. Several times in a row, white light and red light splashed out, surrounding the Snake King. It was a 360-degree attack with no blind spots. He Tian didn't dare to look, but she was worried about the Snake King. "Snake King, come on, this is the human world." She is Snake King's friend and follower. Only she can encourage Snake King in such a situation. Although the little Spin Turtle doesn't want to see the Snake King, think about it. Although the Snake King is often so angry that he wants to grind it into powder, he always talks about it and never puts it into practice. The Snake King is lonely. The little Spinner Turtle is also lonely. They have a common bond, He Tian, so they get along well. If the Snake King dies, the little Spinner Turtle will not be bullied, but it will be lonelier. So, the little turtle also shouted along with He Tian, come on. As a stone turtle statue that has been living at the bottom of the river and was later sealed, who knows what come on means. When the second thunder dissipated, the Snake King in the air was even more miserable. His skin was torn open, revealing the flesh and blood inside. But fortunately, the Snake King was still alive. Like the first time, he was still absorbing energy in the air and strengthening his body. Even though the Snake King is very depressed, He Tian can feel that the Snake King is more powerful than before. Only when we lose our comfortable life and face difficulties can we gain the precious energy gifted from heaven and earth. In a few breaths, the Snake King's body became longer and larger than before. But just when the Snake King greedily breathed the energy between heaven and earth, another white light came from the sky, and there was also a green light during it, which was creepy. This time it came faster, only half the time between the first thunder and lightning and the second thunder and lightning. This thunder and lightning is thicker and faster than before. What happened? This is the last one. I hope the Snake King can survive the last thunder and lightning safely. I saw the Snake King looking up to the sky and roaring, making a roar that was not inferior to thunder and lightning. This is to encourage yourself and demonstrate to the way of heaven. At the last moment, the Snake King turned to look at He Tian in the cave. Seeing He Tian's worried face full of tears, she felt a little sad, which made her worry. It cannot die. It's going back to the demon world. He Tian is so stupid and is always bullied. It has to help her overcome difficulties and live a different life from her previous life. In short, it wants to see He Tian's smile, but doesn't like to see He Tian's tears. When He Tian saw the Snake King looking at her, he quickly shouted, "Snake King, you are the most powerful king." Hearing these words, The Snake King smiled, turned his head and gathered all his strength to rush towards the third thunder. Yes, he was the all-powerful Snake King before, and he will definitely become the all-powerful Snake King in the future. It wants to protect its people, and also protect her. Even in this dangerous time, those people were very blurry in its mind, but her voice and smile became clearer. He Tian was already in tears. All she could think about was the scene with the Snake King. From the beginning, the Snake King kept saying that he wanted to eat her and drink her blood, but later he took the initiative to help her, care about her, and help her solve her difficulties. Although his temper is still so bad, he has never really hurt her, nor the little spinner. It's a good snake. What a great king. The thick ball of thunder and lightning hit the Snake King again, and the powerful force shot out countless small thunder and lightning scattered in a radius of dozens of miles. Rumble, rumble. The thunder continues. Shiny, shiny. The white light and green light intertwined, almost tearing the heaven and the earth apart. In the middle, He Tian could vaguely hear the roar of the Snake King, or it might be a cry of pain. The Snake King must be very angry and hurt. Cracking, crackling, like a continuous explosion, the sound of thunder in the sky lasted for half an hour before gradually getting smaller. Doesn't lightning strike and explode once and that's it? It looks like a series of explosions, so scary. As the thunder and lightning dissipated, a staggering figure of the Snake King appeared in the sky, as if he was drunk or injured. At this time, it was impossible for the Snake King to be drunk, he could only be injured. The little spin turtle was anxious underground and reminded, Snake King, quickly absorb the energy. He Tian didn't understand such a fantasy world, but the little spinning turtle had been around the ancient gods, so he must understand more than she did. Snake King, absorb energy, this is a rare opportunity. He Tian jumped up, hoping that her voice could spread farther and Snake King could hear it. The Snake King in the sky has no energy in his body, and only a little consciousness is supporting him. Hearing the familiar voice, the Snake King opened his eyes hard. This is the three heavens' mysterious thunder that makes it so miserable. What should we do with the 6 heavens' mysterious thunder and the 9 heavens' mysterious thunder in the future? No. He is the omnipotent Snake King with boundless power. Ignoring the pain in his body, the Snake King opened his big mouth, absorbing energy at all costs, and then his entire body continued to absorb the rich spiritual energy between heaven and earth. The Snake King felt that the lost power was instantly replenished. Its body continued to absorb energy for another half hour, until the spiritual energy in the sky disappeared. Ouch! A distant and powerful dragon roar came. He Tian rubbed her eyes and found that the Snake King had become bigger than before. Then, before He Tian could react, big raindrops fell from the sky and hit He Tian's face. It's raining. Oh my gosh, it's raining. This is the first rain this year, so rare. He Tian stared at the Snake King in the sky. As the Snake King roared, the rain became heavier. The Snake King shuttles through the rain curtain, looking majestic and majestic. What made He Tian even more stunned was that the rain washed away the burnt blackness on the Snake King's body, revealing the golden body. Ah! He Tian said in surprise, after surviving the thunder tribulation, the Snake King can still change his color. Yes, the little spinner turtle said with envy. It also wanted to have a real body and truly achieve the great path through practice. Unfortunately, it is just a ray of spiritual consciousness. The rain was very bright, and He Tian shuddered and hid in the cave. Now that the Snake King is fine, He Tian is no longer worried. The rain continued outside, and the Snake King was still flying around in the air. He Tian looked at the watch on her wrist. Oh my God, it was already past 3 o'clock, so she had to shout loudly, Snake King, you're home. The Snake King was like a child, having a great time playing in the water curtain. Hearing He Tian's shouts, he was still a little unfinished, but he also knew that it was getting late and it was time to go back. The little spinner turtle continued to stay in the cave, drinking water and practicing. The Snake King flew in front of He Tien Tien. It was so big that Tien Tien was frightened. The Snake King is now 2 or 3 meters long, which is so scary. He Tien Tien took 2 steps back and said cautiously, "The golden color is very beautiful, but can you be a little smaller?" The Snake King suddenly transformed and became what he was before, but the color was different from before, a little golden snake. If the Snake King is motionless, it will be similar to the golden snake in the gold shop in later generations. Then hurry up and enter the barrier. "We have to go back," He Tien Tien said. "If we don't go back, it will be done." Okay, the Snake King entered the barrier. He Tien Tien quickly left the cave and put her hands on her head to protect her from the rain. She was curious to find that the raindrops did not fall on her body. "Gilo gilo me." He Tien Tien summoned the Snake King, "The rain can't catch me." The Snake King smiled smugly and said, "The barrier I have set up, of course the rain will not catch you. But is it okay for you to do this? Aren't you afraid of being punished by heaven? And what's going on with this rain? You are the Snake King, not the Dragon King, can you still cast clouds and rain?" He Tien Tien was so curious that she suddenly asked so many questions. "Ha ha ha," the Snake King laughed, "it's nothing. It has already struck me with thunder, but it just didn't kill me, so it can't punish me. Of course I caused this rain. I'm so dirty. It's hard to punish me." "Wash it," the Snake King returned, "although I am not the Dragon King, I will become a higher level Spirit Snake King than the Dragon King. This little rain is nothing." The more He Tien Tien listened, the happier she became, her eyes sparkling, and she said with approval, "The Snake King is really powerful. I don't understand your world, so you have to take care of yourself. The only thing I can help you with is to eat well and nourish yourself. I have to provide you with the holy blood." Okay, after hearing this, the Snake King was not as arrogant as before and had a good temper. "In fact, you don't have to be so presumptuous. Your help to me is definitely not that little bit of holy blood." Maybe it was because he had her blood in his body, so when it was going through a tribulation and about to lose consciousness, it was her voice that kept ringing in its head that kept it awake. He Tien Tien walked all the way home. Fortunately, the rain had just started falling. After a while, all the raindrops that fell on the ground were sucked into the soil, and there was not much mud. He Tien Tien arrived at home and just lay down when she vaguely heard voices coming from Grandma Chi San's room. "Thank you to Buddha, Guanyin Bodhisattva and the Dragon King for sending down nectar and saving the people from the fire and water." That was Grandma Chi San praying to the gods. It rained. Although it came later, it is better than nothing. Good. King Snake, every household is probably thanking you now. He Tien Tien smiled, very excited and not sleepy at all. Seeing He Tianation's pale face due to blood loss, the Snake King had no choice but to comfort him. "Be good, go to bed quickly." He Tien Tien felt dizzy, so she closed her eyes and fell into a dream. The Snake King has absorbed so much energy and is flowing around in the body. It must convert those precious energies into its own. There was no time to chat with He Tien Tien, so the most direct way was to let her sleep. In the middle of the night, the people of Daowen County were very excited when they heard the thunder outside and saw the lightning outside, because it was about to rain. With the rain, this year's food production can be high. Some people were bold and ran out excitedly, but when they saw the dazzling lightning and the ear-piercing thunder, they hurried back. If he didn't starve to death but was struck to death by lightning, that would be an injustice. Everyone hid in the house. Although they didn't go out, they kept paying attention to the outside. But the lightning in the sky lasted for 2 hours, but there was not a drop of rain. Weird things happen every year, especially this year. Just when everyone thought it was unusual, it started raining heavily in the sky, and everyone cheered and celebrated. Wow, wow, wow. It rained from about 2 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the morning. The golden sun appeared in the sky, shining on the earth. The sunlight passes through the raindrops on the leaves, reflecting a charming light. After several hours of heavy rain, the dry land was temporarily filled with water, and the crops and trees on the ground also returned to life. While the people were cheering, the cotters in the unit were also very happy that they could keep their black gauze hats.